Welcome in, tribe. Hope everybody is having an amazing day. This is Dr. Marci here, America's #1 reality-based success and recovery trainer. I wanted to talk a little bit about, one of the things that I specialize in is change management. And so you see me posting a lot about the challenge to change. And that's really, it's a self-improvement program that helps you sort of go on this self-improvement journey for yourself. So whether you're facing some sort of an obstacle like losing weight, if it's relationships, if it's your career, if it's addiction, and then of course I do a lot of work with domestic violence survivors. So challenge to change is for all of that, because it's really about you and the choices that you make and your choices to choose change over staying the same. And we talk a lot about what that costs and things like that. But today's message really is about truly what your flex is giving people space. Hey, Steph. Giving people space. And that's something that's really hard to do, particularly in relationships. I see a lot and I hear a lot of conversations about he should do this, or she should do this, or he better do this, or she better do that. And quite honestly, he or she should do whatever it is that they're going to do. And the reason I say that is because you need someone to operate in the space of their authentic self so that you can truly see who they are. And that's the way you determine if there's a level of compatibility there. So what happens is, instead, we create all these requirements, these expectations, and we build up these boundaries and, these hoops that people have to jump through. And in some cases, they do those things. And they're willing to jump through the hoops, and they're willing to do all the things that you say you need them to do in exchange for being in relation with you. The problem with that is it's not sustainable. And challenge to change is all about sustainable changes, right? And so if you're going to build on something with someone, whether it's a business partner, whether it's a life partner, whether it's a marriage, whatever the case may be, it could be a platonic friendship, but before you can build on something, you have to actually see the real person, the real individual. And so the only way to do that is to give them space. I have a saying that you need to give them space to do what they're going to do so that you can see what they'd rather do. And what I mean by that is, again, if you are constantly dictating to someone what they need to do and they march along in compliance with what you tell them that they need to do, you never really get to see what they'd rather do. You never get to see what their preference is. All you can see is whether or not they'll be compliant to your demands, to your requirements. And quite honestly, a lot of times what happens is people will comply for a period of time, and then all of a sudden this other person shows up and you're like, what the heck just happened here? And I will tell you this, that sometimes it's not even your requirements. It's a situation where they'll assume that based on who you are, how you carry yourself, how you conduct yourself, how you live your life, they'll assume what your expectations are, right? And so they'll march along for a period of time exhibiting these certain behaviors and doing all these, the right things per se. But again, it's not sustainable. And so what happens is eventually a few months, maybe even a year down the road, you start crashing into all these walls and it seems like their behavior changed, but it's just really truly their authentic self finally coming out. And you have to be able to give people the space to operate in the authentic self all of the time. You have to be able to see, like I said, give them the space, to do what they're going to do so that you can see what they prefer to do. And then it's up to you at that point to decide, does how they're operating, does how they're moving work for you? And if it does not, what are you going to do about it? Because what happens a lot of times is the other person is moving in a way that you don't like, but the only thing that you're going to do about it is complain about it to other people, or sit silently and stew about it, or you're going to fight about it. Why would you fight against someone's authentic self? If who they are and how they choose to behave doesn't work for you, that's okay. You don't have to stay. And I think sometimes we feel like, oh, I've invested a lot in this relationship, or I've invested a lot in this commitment with this person, and we don't want to admit that how they're showing up and how they're moving doesn't work for us. And I'm not suggesting that you don't, tell people things that are important to you and give them an opportunity to adjust if they can. But if they're consistently showing you that what you need from them is not who they authentically are, you have a choice to make. And it's up to you, because complaining about it doesn't resolve it. Stewing about it isn't going to fix it. You have to make a choice. You have to begin the process of change. So either you're going to adjust your expectations to align with their behavior, or you're going to say, you know what? I get it. That's who you are. Far be it from me to tell you to be something different than who you are, but this doesn't work for me. I'm out. And being willing to say I'm out. Your job is not to raise an adult. If you're in relation with someone, choose someone who's already matured and who already exhibits the qualities without you setting boundaries or setting requirements for them. Give them the space to be who they are. Give them the space to operate in their authentic self. And you be courageous enough to operate in your authentic self. And I will tell you from firsthand experience, because I used to be somebody who would maneuver who I was to fit whoever I was with. And I was good at it. Let me tell you, I was really good at it. What's the line in Coming to America? Whatever it is you like, I like. I could do that. And I could do it really, really, really well. But what happens with that is you end up holding on to relationships that you don't even want. I call it fighting for stuff you don't want. Why are you capitulating who you are to fit into an environment, or to fit to be in relation with someone who's exhibiting behaviors that are not in alignment with you? And that's the key. Y'all don't have to be the same, but you do have to be in alignment, and making sure that what you need aligns with who they are, and what they need aligns with who you are. Yes, you can maneuver a little bit, but if what they're needing or what you're needing requires that other person to completely change who they are, it's not sustainable. It's not even fair, actually. But you're never gonna be happy in that. You might be content for a while. You may be comfortable in it. But true happiness is not going to exist there, because you're not operating in your authentic self, or they're not. And eventually the bubble will burst. The behaviors will be their true authentic self. And we don't ask a lot of these questions in the beginning of relationships. And the same thing with business relationships. We're talking about, personal relationships, whether they're sexual or platonic, but it also happens in business where, because somebody has a skill that you value, or you have a skill that they value, how they move still might not fit for how you want to show up. It may not be a match for your brand. And that's personally or professionally. If they don't fit, that's okay. You know, sometimes we're afraid to say that something doesn't work for us. And so we're either trying to manipulate who we are to fit it, or trying to get them. And it's this constant tug, and it's this constant back and forth with the other person. And again, what you really need is alignment. You don't need sameness. You don't need them to, do what you say to do. It's okay to express what you need and the things that you value, but you can't make that a requirement for someone else. You just can't. You can try, and it may work for a while, but it's not going to be sustainable. And so that's what I'm talking about with that whole thing. Like, the flex is space. You have to be able to give people space. The other thing that giving them space does is it allows you to build trust. It allows you to build confidence. You're building confidence in the relationship. I know one of the things that I talk to a lot of clients about is abandonment and abandonment issues. And so we're afraid that if we give them too much space, that they won't come back. Some won't. I'm going to be real honest. Some people won't come back. And that's okay. Because you'll also have some people that continue to come back, but all they're doing is depleting you. They're not pouring into you. And so give people the space, trust them in the space. And if you can't trust them in the space, then you shouldn't want to be in relation with them anyway. Relationships are built on trust. They're built on trust. You shouldn't have to worry about what they do with freedom. You shouldn't have to worry about what they do with space. Likewise, if you're given space, how you behave indicates who you are as a person. It has nothing to do with the other individual. It has nothing to do with the person that you're engaging with on the other side of it. If you're kind of going back and forth, it's about you. And so this is always, everything is always going to come back to you. This is what personal development is. This is what self-improvement is about. It's always bringing it back to you, owning your choices and making choices that fit with you. There's a saying, it's all is well with my soul. Like, keep that in mind. If what's going on and what's transpiring in a situation is not well with your soul, then it's not right for you. And it's okay. It doesn't have to be, but you also don't have to stay. So that's the message today, guys. The real flex is space. Remember that. Give them the space to do what they're going to do so that you can see what they prefer to do. And then you can do what's right for you. That's my message today, guys. Have a great day.